Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Pearsall, Community Manager for the Second Step program, and I am really excited to join you all again today with the second in our Meet the Makers series that we're doing. We're getting to meet the people behind the Second Step program. But before we begin, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. Community for Children's offices sit on the unceded traditional lands of the Coast Salish people, specifically the first people of Seattle, Washington, the Duwamish tribe. And as we honor the Duwamish people and their ancestors, it's also important that we consider our place in the past, present, and future history of the indigenous peoples of our region, as well as how we can best support them. And now we want to start to get a chance to meet Charles Corley. So Charles Corley is the product manager for the Second Step Digital K-5 program. And I'm really excited to get a chance to introduce you, Charles. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited to get a chance to talk with you today. And first, going to start off is going to ask for just kind of a little bit about your background. What brought you to what brings you to being the product manager of this program? What does that actually mean? What do you do?
Yeah, it's kind of a long roundabout journey. So my background, my career has been pretty much all in technology. I started off back in the early days supporting products and shipping CD-ROMs and things like that. Yeah, on up through a number of roles until I became a product manager. A few years ago, I was working in ad tech, and I was learning a lot about data analysis, user experience, things like that. And but I was really ambivalent about what I was working on because advertising is something that I myself try to avoid a lot of the time. And so what I wanted to do was take all of these skills that I were learning and actually apply them to something that I thought was good, something I could feel good about and really feel like I'm making a difference. And so I moved into ed tech for a few years, and then I found Committee for Children and was drawn here by the mission. This was something that I felt strongly about and felt I could do a place I could do good work.
Well, that's great. I think it's the same reason I like working with children. That's why, and everybody here who's watching as well. I think it's why we're in it, right? The social emotional learning makes a real difference in the world.
Yeah, it's all something we feel passionate about.
Yeah. So the focus of this talk right now is one I'm really interested in because I have a lot to learn myself, and that's what does it mean to be a digital program and what's cool about that. This new K-5 program the Second Step program is releasing is 100% digital.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Why should we care?
Yeah, well, we're all familiar with the classroom kits, and those are great. Those were released about 10 years ago. And it felt like time to kind of freshen things up. And part of it is why what it means. It means that there's no real physical component to this product. It's not a print product. You're not going to get binders or boxes or anything like that. It's completely digital. All the resources are online. It's built on the same technology stack as our middle school program, right? Mm-hmm. So these two programs are kind of twins in that way. And really the biggest one of the biggest things that gives us a scale, right? We want to have this transformative impact in the lives of so many children, and not just in the US, but worldwide. And technology really gives us a place from which to do that. It also allows us to, digital technology also generates a lot of data, and data can be analyzed to improve the user experience and to improve outcomes. And it also allows us to create a program that's essentially evergreen, right? We can continually update with new features to make it easier to deliver, to make it more effective. We can always sort of incorporate the latest research into the program, and we don't have the logistical challenge of kind of dealing with print things. Mm-hmm. So and also too, it's where schools and education are kind of going generally. But that said, it's not like the technology is kind of beside the point, right? Like, this is what we really want to do is create a good experience, a good user experience for our teachers and for our administrators, and produce positive outcomes for our students. And so the technology ideally should just be kind of invisible, and we should be able to just have that be something that kind of facilitates the overall connection between a teacher and their students, right? And not something that you really notice even.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of something that I heard from when I first started with the Second Step program. A while ago, I heard from somebody who'd been there for a long time. So our current K-5 kits, they came out 10 years ago, but sort of the format of them, especially for the early elementary ones, the card and the puppets, that goes back to the 1980s in format. And at the time that came out, that sort of like, let's have a card with a picture on the front and the lesson on the back, was actually really revolutionary for the 80s. And it was a real kind of innovative thing that we were doing. And I think it's neat to kind of think about how here we are again, kind of as we move into a digital world, thinking about what's the next innovation that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to do, right? We want to innovate, and we want to create, new and more effective programs for kids. But it's in a sense, like we haven't really, like, it's like the digital program is not a radical reinvention, right? And in a lot of ways, the concept is still essentially the same. It's still a universal tier 1 program that's designed to be taught by teachers in the classroom. And again, that hasn't changed, and the technology is really just about trying to find a newer, more effective way of doing that. And yeah.
So what is new? So what does the newer and more effective look like?
Well, one of the big goals for this update was to make the program easier to facilitate. And so to take feedback from teachers, who have used the kits for a very long time, and to incorporate that, as well as to take, kind of revisit the research and use all of the latest research that we could find in terms of tailoring the program. And, just for example, like a way that we would use the technology, the brain builder exercises, right? And those are the sort of brain teaser games, activities that have been part of the program for a very long time. And with the kids, they were, the teacher would facilitate them, right? They'd have the instructions, and they would deliver that to the class themselves, which is actually one of the more challenging aspects of delivering the program. To be able to kind of read the instructions, parse that, keep it straight. There's a lot of variation. And then to also, when you kind of increment the exercise to make it a little bit more difficult and build on what you've done before, they're doing that by delivering it faster or things like that. So one of the things we wanted to do was kind of take some of that effort out of it. And so the brain builders have all been rendered as videos. So they're all short videos with a host that the teacher can play, and that will, that's delivered to the students. And then the incrementation of it, the progressive difficulty, is realized through editing and things like that, to kind of speed it up, or things like that. And that's something that that we did to kind of use technology to make things easier. And we got a lot of positive feedback from our field class. The teachers really appreciated that, and they said the students really liked them as well. It was kind of fun and different, right? So that's one way that we're trying to do it, to use this to take the same concept but make it easier and more effective to deliver.
Another thing that's pretty different about it, I've noticed, is that now it looks like you're saying it's kind of built on the same platform as our middle school. I mean, for those of you who are watching who aren't familiar with the middle school program, it's slide based. That you go through a series of slides, like a PowerPoint, but more interactive, but that general idea. How does that kind of affect and change things?
Yeah, well, I mean, the idea is that, again, it's sort of simplification, right? One of the goals is to get all the resources available, all the resources necessary to teach the program, to teach a lesson, kind of online in one place, sort of centrally located. You're right. The lesson presentations are a lot like PowerPoint decks, like you used to give a presentation at a company or something. And to accompany those, there is a separate lesson plan. So The lesson plan is kind of like a 2-page document, and it's formatted in a way that you could print it out if you want and use it for reference, or you could use it from another screen or split screen or something like that. So you're not trying to sort of maybe read and process and deliver at the same time. So we're trying to reduce the cognitive load on the teacher as well as the students. That's also something that we got a lot of positive feedback, right? It's very simple. Like the components are very simple, and the slide presentations have all of the media that you need to deliver the lesson, and then the lesson plan gives you the script. And so again, the feedback was that yeah, this is really easy to use. And another way too, just the fact that it's on a screen, which is bigger than a card, meant that even for those teachers who have tested it, in a classroom setting, they liked it as well. It's easier for students to see, right? To be able to put it up on a screen rather than holding up a card, which may or may not, be visible from however far away they are.
Yeah. I was really, Charles sent me some of the feedback that they've been receiving around these earlier today. I was looking through it, and it was really neat to see a lot of the things that that educators were saying around kind of how much they liked this presentation style. No, I won't lie, I was actually on the development team for this for a short time several years ago, and then they're talking about just kind of starting to go, should we do it this way or not? Should we keep the cards? Should we be all digital? And I was really in the keep the cards camp myself. I was like, I just can't see this working in a kindergarten classroom or a first grade classroom. And it's nice to look back and say, well, I was really wrong, because this is working really well.
And I think some of the videos, again, like there's things that the kids certainly brought, like the puppets or things like that, which we've tried to kind of create new items that bring the same kind of charm, the same kind of engagement for those lower grades as well. We've got like the May and Mateo cartoons. I don't know if you watched any of those, but these are characters that kind of, they have these scenarios, and it's similar to a lot of like PBS Kids stuff, where it's sort of like just animated kids, kind of normal kids, but in a slightly sort of magically realistic setting, a little bit beyond that. And they have adventures, and they kind of model the behavior that we want students to learn. And those got a lot of positive feedback as well. The videos and some of the other scenarios that use multimedia components as well, like music or things like that. So it's been really fun. I totally get where you're coming from, though. Like, again, like if you look at our EL stuff, like I don't think I could ever imagine doing like the EL kit as a digital program like that. It would take me a while. I think I'd have to think about that for a while before I really felt comfortable with that approach.
But don't be too set in your ways. You'll end up like me, looking back a few years going, oh wow, I was really wrong.
Yeah. But I think this is, a lot of the feedback too, just from teachers with regards to their students, is that these are, the videos are engaging, and they've kind of enjoyed these presentations, and there's definitely some novelty there. And again, one of the things that Second Step has always tried to be is this sort of space that's kind of away from the academic concerns, right? Kind of its own sort of oasis that feels a little bit different and can kind of facilitate a different kind of engagement. So,
well, we are getting close to time. I don't want to keep you too long, Charles. I know you're super busy, but I have one last question I'm going to spring on you here at the end.
Sure.
Of the whole like digital K-5 program, it's big. There's a lot of different things. What is the one thing that is just like your favorite element of it, or the thing that just puts a smile on your face when you think about it?
I love some of the videos we've done. I love the May and Mateo videos. I think those are really fun. And it's always fun to work on something, and then to see something so creative kind of realized. I've shown it to my son. My son thinks it's kind of fun, and he's even a little older than the age that those are targeted at. So that's probably my favorite. Is I think all of us have had the most fun kind of being creative and writing and brainstorming around those things. So
cool.
So we're excited to see, how those are received.
Awesome.
By kids. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Charles, for joining us. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Awesome. And for everybody, I want to let you know that we're going to be continuing this series. Charles and I got a chance to talk a little bit about the feedback we were getting that informed the development of this program. Well, next week, Dr. Tia Kim, who is our Vice President of Research at Committee for Children, is going to be joining us to talk about that in depth, to really kind of get into looking at how did we use feedback and kind of iterative design and feedback based on what we were hearing from teachers and students and administrators around the development of this program and how it kind of informed what it became. So wherever you are watching this right now, you'll be able to watch that one. And I hope we'll be able to see you then. So until then, take care, everybody, and have a good day.